Hello, and welcome to How to Play D&D, the explainer podcast with one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter to discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey, and my ridiculously inadequate pod partner is Lewis McCaffery. Hello, Lewis.
Hello, we got there.
We got there. This is our third or fourth take. As you might have noticed, the name has changed, hence why it took me 4 times to even start the podcast.
We got there in the end, and you did better than I've done.
Yes,
in the past.
There we go.
Future.
And that's not hard. Really. So, today's episode, we're kind of celebrating the fact that we changed our name. You'll see by now that we've got new logo, new headings. We've got a website out now. We have the domain for How to Play D&D. Everything's changed to How to Play D&D.
Yeah, everything's new.
It just made more sense that you guys could find us.
Exactly.
And that way we don't have to find you.
Exactly.
So, are we lazy? Yes. Do we care? No. I guess that means we are lazy.
Well, exactly. I mean, laziness will get you very far in life.
Yes, yeah. Well, this is going to be a long episode today because this is a special one to celebrate our name.
Exactly.
So, do you know what the episode's about?
No.
Oh, it's How to Play D&D. Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is How to Play D&D. In celebration of us changing the name of the podcast, we felt it was only right to do a longer episode to cover how you can get your friends together and play your first game of Dungeons and Dragons.
I mean, because that is the difficult thing, getting friends together.
It genuinely is.
That's
and you know what? On us, shame on us, because this should have been the first ever episode, really, regardless of the name. You know, because at this point, you've been listening for 6 months and never found friends.
I mean, I just realised what you said. I mean, at this point, our name was What Am I Doing? So it makes sense that it wasn't our first thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were doing.
I never know. I always don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing right now. Okay, so, Lewis, I've accidentally stored eggs in 12 different chickens. Eggs that they did not lay. How do I apologise? What am I doing?
Okay, so thinking of it in terms of how you play D&D, what you do is you get a player's handbook out.
Oh, okay.
You beat the first one to death with it.
Jesus
And
Christ.
then you look at the rest and wild shape into a chicken, point at a different chicken, and then you all beat the shit out of that one, and you try and blame it on that chicken. I don't know where I'm going.
I can see your brain falling apart. As if I thought. I mean, let's be honest. I thought you were wild shaped into a chicken. You were gonna fuck every chicken. But that's D&D. That's D&D.
I mean,
that's D&D.
That's not D&D. That's your search history.
If you've come here to learn D&D, then you are wrong, brother. You're here to learn how to wild shape into a chicken and fuck everything on the farm. And we know that's why you're listening. And we just want to give it to you direct, pay-per-view. There we go. Right.
If you don't get involved with a bit of bestiality in D&D, then you're doing it wrong.
You've not played it. You've not. That's actually the first answer to the question we're going to ask next. So let's get to it. Lewis, what do you need to play your first game of D&D? And would you like to know the 4 pillars that I thought could... the foundations of D&D?
Given your previous statement, if one of those pillars is not bestiality, I'll be very disappointed. But
I'm going to have to turn this up.
You know what? Yeah, come on. What are your 4 pillars?
Right, so I'm going to say all 4 of them, and then we can go into each one.
Okay.
Because we're actually trying to help.
Yeah.
We're trying to help.
Surprisingly.
Hey, we're here for you. We're here for you. He's not. Daddy, whatever your last name is, he's not there for you. He's not here for me either.
Daddy insert name here.
Daddy insert name. Okay, which is my next character.
Oh.
Okay, so first pillar, people.
People, yes.
People.
Players.
I thought you were going to go into it then. I was like, well, hang on a minute. People, location, supplies,
okay,
and creativity. Creativity is like the knobby, PowerPoint word you end with, but it's true. It's true, I think.
That's the one that you have the PowerPoint transitions, and it scrunches it into paper and throws it off.
And Clippy is in the corner smoking a cigarette, sitting on the rim of a bin, an office bin, and he goes, "Hey, I remember that piece of paper like it was yesterday."
It's
and then
beautiful.
he takes the cigarette and he flicks it behind him into the bin, which is a
okay.
paper bin, and then you all burn.
Yeah.
In a horrible death.
Fucking hell. The chickens do. That's what you do.
There we go.
But yeah.
So people.
So
What do we
obviously,
need?
players and a DM.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Players. Right. So players and a DM. That's all you need. How many people does the average game have? Would you say?
I'd say anywhere between 4 and 6. I mean, usually
4 players or 6 players or 4 altogether, including DM.
Including a DM, I'd probably say about 5 to 7.
5 to 7.
So 4 to 6
one DM,
players. Yeah.
1 DM, and 4 to 6 players.
That's not to say that if you have more or fewer, there you can't play. I mean,
we've literally done a one-on-one because we've got no friends.
Pretty much.
When I said that you guys didn't have friends, I was looking at the black reflection on my phone that we're recording this on and talking to myself directly in the heart.
I mean, it is true. It is true. We have ran a session just me and you.
We have, yeah.
But yeah, and at the same time, if you do, I mean, in the server we ran, I think the max amount of players I had in a session was 14 at one point.
It can be
something
mad.
like that.
You can't really have a maximum, but it's always best to have a minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That minimum is 1.
Yeah, but you only need 1 DM. And if there's more, or there's players who want to be the DM or think they're the DM, they're not your players. Don't do that. You have a nightmare every time. Okay, location. Now, we are generalising this episode to be more for beginners. Their first session. They've Googled how to play D&D. They got to us. So why is location important?
So, let's assume you're trying to run a session in person rather than online, because obviously I know we both prefer in-person sessions. They are just generally better, in my opinion. But you will need somewhere, whether it's someone's home or whether it's a game store or something like that. You'll literally just need not even a big table, but a table that you can all sit around and you can have your character sheets, and that's about it. That can be anywhere. Obviously, don't do it in a random Costa shop. You may get kicked out. But just anywhere
Trademark.
anywhere that you are all comfortable as well. I think that's one of the main things.
Yeah, think of the table as when you go to the pub and there isn't a table, and it just feels weird. You need a centre of gravity. You need somewhere to be able to sit and focus on, and the table represents that, as well as the space to roll dice on. Obviously, it does have a physical purpose.
Yeah.
And location, I think you could go further and say really it's all about sound as well. Being able to hear each other is important, to take note of what's going on, to appreciate just being a good listener. We've already talked about this in etiquette, but all of those things all revolve around the location being right. It's not going to be incredible.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
We filmed this podcast in a bin.
Yeah, pretty much.
But,
we're in the bin that's about to set on fire.
There we go. He's Clippy. That's what his previous job was.
I'm him.
Yeah. Anything else to add, or
more just in terms of the sound as well? Be cautious. Like I said, preferably don't do it in a random Costa shop or a random pub, because your sessions will likely get noisy.
Yeah, you won't hear. You need to hear what's going on. Imagine prepping as a DM and no one can hear you, and
not even just that, but to be aware if you are in a public space, you as players and DM will be noisy. So
yeah, you will also be noisy. Yeah, you've always got that one player who laughs like Jimmy Carr. And you're like, what? There's always an over enthusiastic.
Can we see that again?
I'll slow this down.
Yep.
Anyway, so next pillar, supplies. We are going to do an episode on supplies, where we will actually show a breakdown of what you need. But just to summarise, pencil and paper.
Yep.
Paper would as just a notepad, but also a character sheet.
To be fair, even if you don't have a notepad, back your character sheet.
There we go.
Just anything like
character
that.
sheet, and if you happen to have a notepad but not a character sheet, then you might be playing with D&D Beyond, which is a free app that has the basics from the player's handbook.
Yeah.
What else do you need? You don't need a miniature, but miniatures are always fun to have.
Yeah, it's always good to be able to, even if it's not a battle map. Like I remember in my first campaign I ran, I think I drew a battle map there on paper, literally just drew a circle like this is a K, that kind of thing. And it was just good that I think we used, those like 2D plastic token things.
Which you do get them a lot with miniatures and place.
We just use loads of those counters as miniatures. So even just anything you can represent as a miniature.
Yeah, you need something to represent it. You can't not most of the time.
Yeah.
The DM has actually got to be pretty good to just not have any visual representation for you in some way. And dice.
And dice if you have them, but if you're using D&D Beyond, obviously.
Yeah, D&D Beyond has the digital dice, but always good. I mean, why are you playing D&D if you don't have dice in your hand? Really?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What am I doing?
Oh.
I'm doing right now.
I was about to say.
And the last one, the Ponzi one, is creativity. Turning up and having no enthusiasm or being reluctant to get involved. You don't have to put on a voice, but being reluctant to get involved, not participate, or as the DM, not giving anything for your players to bounce back and forth of you. You're just telling them. That's a no-go. Just
a level of imagination. You need, in order to play D&D and have a good time, and for everyone to have a good time, you need to be able to imagine that this thing you're doing is real, and you are controlling real people. And that kind of thing.
You don't have to be serious about it, but you have to take into account that there are people at the table who will, and they're there to have fun, and to do that, you kind of need to immerse yourself.
Exactly, and even if it is a game that everyone, all the players know, the DM knows, it's just like a take the piss one shot, and you're just doing it to have fun, you still need to have the imagination to decide what you're going to do.
Well, that kind of leads on to our next question. What knowledge do you need to start? How do you summarise the knowledge you need? We'll definitely do a more in-depth version of this episode, but there we go.
Well, yeah, I think from looking at it from two different perspectives, you've got the players and the DMs. The players just need to know their own character sheet. A player needs to know like what equipment they have, how to record it, that kind of thing. Very basic information. But a DM would need to, again, still basic knowledge, because a lot of it you can make up, but you'd need to know, for example, when to ask your players to make a check. And if you don't know what check it is, guess. Like, just say what you want. And just that kind of rules. Like, I think it's good.
Common sense.
Yeah.
You've got the guide there, even if you don't have a player's handbook, but you have, and you've never played, but you've got a character sheet printed in front of you, you can see the different things that are available to you. And so, if I've never played before, but I'm for some reason DMing and I'm saying, you need to break into this door, look at, and then someone says, well, what do I roll? Do I roll? Yes, you do roll most of the time. And what is that? And you can look, as your first of a time, look at the sheet and go, well, what are the abilities that people have here? So, it could be strength, it could be athletics.
Exactly.
So, as simple as that.
Yeah, it's just very basic stuff. And like the thing, like information, like, I don't know, NPCs or, it's things like that. It's more just as well having, the DM will need to have something prepared.
Being able to tell a story is the most basic part, but being able to tell a story and allow people to, add to that as players and immerse themselves and go off on a tangent is all you really need. One, as a player, and two, as a DM.
Yeah.
The feeling comfortable to be able to do both of those things.
Exactly.
What type of game should you be playing? So, one-shots?
Yeah.
One shot, what is a one-shot?
So one shot is literally, does what it says on the tin.
A single game?
It's one session, or one quest that takes one session to complete.
Yeah.
You start and finish
we
at the same
usually
day.
just, if it doesn't finish in one, then it's a two-shot. If it doesn't finish in two, it's a three-shot. But the concept is that it's just one game that you're playing, basically. West March's server?
Yeah, things like that you can play there. It's that West March's servers are very good if you're brand new, want to experiment a bit, but don't want to dedicate your so much time to it, and you just want to relax and kind of dip your toe in the water a little bit.
Often on these servers will post that they've got sessions and you can join them, but usually have downtime activities, so you can still do stuff for your character, but you might not be able to play on the Monday when the session's happening. But then there might be a session that's on a Tuesday and you can. So
exactly,
it gives you more freedom, but it's a greyer area. It's less refined in what you're doing, less scheduled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's not a campaign either. So usually those sessions are often singular. There were lots of one shots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of campaigns, if you don't fancy one shots on West March's server, you can always try and find a campaign, and whether that's fine. Let's say if you don't, or if you do have a group of friends that are all free and all want to play, and someone wants to DM, you're a lucky bastard. That's what you are.
Take it. It's worth more than its weight in gold. Yeah.
Or just, there are so many groups online and things where you can go out and say you want to join a campaign. Obviously, there are some pay to play.
Probably pay to win as well, let's be honest. So campaigns, you can go from using the modules, those are books you find in stores or online, or homebrew. And homebrew is literally someone has created their own story, basically their own campaign, and you will follow that with probably rules that have been slightly tweaked, and their own story using they're probably their own stat blocks as well.
Exactly. And just going back to the one shots as well, if you want to let's say if you're new to D&D and you want to test out a one shot but you don't know what to run, there are so many one shots online that are free that you can just download. All the information you need will be in there. Familiarize yourself briefly with it, and then just go off and wing the rest.
We are actually going to probably be a link in the bio, as I have been running a one-shot for new players. This is my 4th time now. We've just finished one this week, again for a new player. And I'll put that on there as a free PDF for you guys to download. It's literally 2 pages long. And it will be for level 5s. So yeah, that's a bit higher if you're just beginning. But it gives you the idea of what characters can do, like what classes can do, and it's a very simple one-shot that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and obviously we know it can be ran for level 1s as well. All you need to do is scale down the enemies.
Yeah, I've done it for level 1s, 3s, and 5s.
Perfect.
So easy stuff,
Beautiful.
stuff. In fact, I'll even put a little, like a recommendation stat block for each of those as well. There we go, lovely.
We really are how to play D&D.
Are we gods? No. So anyway, next question. What should the session include to get you started? Obviously, you were a DM, newbie DM at once.
10 years ago.
Newbie DM and newbie players in the same session. What could you teach yourself if you went back in time?
How to make friends. No, I think the main thing that I'd say you need for a D&D session, and this being, imagine it's your first one as a player or a DM, the main thing you need is a group of willing players, whether that be friends, family, or anyone, because everyone will be in the same boat of you're new to the game, everyone's learning, you're not expected to know everything, and you can just get on and have a good time.
Yeah.
But in terms of, that's, I'd say, the main thing. In terms of everything else, you obviously, in a session, you need to know how to start it, how to improvise, and how to end it, I'd say.
Yeah.
And starting it can be as anything as simple as, you obviously, as soon as you're all around the table, say, right, you are on a country road or you're in a forest, in a clearing, you've woken up, you don't know why you're there, you look around and see this amount of players, and then would you like to introduce yourselves? And that immediately will give your players a way to jump straight into the game, become familiar with how to speak to each other, and it'll just get the ball rolling in terms of like how to play, really.
Yeah.
How do you, before I go into the next part, how would you start a game, or how any advice you could give to starting a game?
No, I think that's a good summary, because like with one shots, you're usually just starting in a situation that the players don't know why they got there, because it's their first time, and then allowing that, giving them a bit of a description of the environment they're in, and then allowing them to introduce themselves means, one, like you said, they join in, they start role-playing immediately, but also they know the situation they're in, and regardless of what the mission is, the outcome of the one-shot is, at least they know that they probably don't want to be where they are now.
Yeah.
And how would you end the game? In the middle is a lot of winging, there's a lot of creativity, but how does the end is important for them to want to come back, right?
Yeah, so a couple of things for an ending. Let's say if it's a one-shot. If it's a one-shot and you are hoping to run more, I'd say do your best to try and plan some kind of a conclusion or a satisfying ending for players. Obviously, if they fuck things up, that's on them. If they die.
It's on you.
Have an ending in mind. For example, let's go for the Fandelver, which, I'm sorry, spoilers, but let's say that was a one-shot, or you did that in one day, and you wanted players to come back for the next game, then that campaign has a satisfying ending where you get to the end, you find this lost mine, and you defeat a boss. And you're heralded as like saviors. You've found this thing. You are basically you've succeeded on your quest, and you get rewarded for it. And I think most or every good D&D session has to have something like that planned, where there is a way for your players to win. And yeah, if they're smart enough, they'll do it. And just give your players a sense of reward. Because everyone loves a reward. Little
Nice.
cookie.
Well, I think that was a good summary for how to play D&D.
Thank you.
Yes, well done.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Yeah, now in your program.
All right. Well, so nice one. I think
Yeah,
you did good. Yeah.
exactly.
I hope that helps. We'll get the PDF up for the one shot as well. Today's adventure has sadly come to a close. We are back again next week with the topic: how many ladders does it take to climb the Empire State Building? And as always,
At least 2.
there we go. At least. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join in on the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram and TikTok at How to Play D&D, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. I've been Connor Kinsey.
I've been Lewis McCaffery.
Good day.
Goodbye.